So I became a bird keeper because I believe that birds have got such a diverse range of appearance and their behaviours, and I think it's really important that people learn how amazing they are. The New Zealand fauna is predominantly birds and ectotherms, so I think it's really important for New Zealanders to want to go away and do their bit for conservation of our native species. I started at Auckland Zoo in 2008. I started initially on the New Zealand fauna team, which involved all the birds, reptiles, invertebrates, and then we split up into the birds team. So I've been here now for 14 years.
Thank you. That was great. You're natural.
Our animals here at Auckland Zoo have a role in that they are advocates for their species. So when we have visitors come to the zoo, it's important that they come and they learn about the different species we have, but not only that, they learn about the environments that the species live in out in the wild, and also the threats that these species face and any conservation work that's going on to protect them.
Morning. Hello.
Yeah, okay. The kākāriki karaka is a critically endangered species. Their numbers are only about a couple of hundred birds left in the wild, and so they're a really good example of a breed for release program. We've been involved since 2015 and we've released 50 birds in that time. We have 3 breeding pairs currently, and 2 of those pairs have recently hatched clutches of chicks. Weekly we get the chicks out of the nest box. We do a physical check on them to make sure that they're all doing okay. We weigh the birds and then we put them into a clean nest box. After about 3 weeks, we get the birds out and we take some samples from them to check their health.
Mate, can I just pluck a few feathers?
We will take a feather sample to sex them and to test them for a virus, and also take swabs from them, as well as putting leg bands on so that we can now identify them individually.
Okay.
Tom?
Yep.
I guess a really important moment in my career was my involvement with the Operation Nest Egg program. That's him. The reality for brown kiwi in New Zealand is that of the eggs that are laid in the wild, only 50% of those eggs will actually hatch. Actually, only 5% of the birds that hatch will make it to breeding age. So it's a pretty dismal stats, and that's why I believe that Operation Nest Egg is really important. We'd been working with the Thames Coast Kiwi Care group in the Coromandel since 2014, and in 2016 we were able to return some birds back to the Te Mata area, which is effectively the whole purpose of the Operation Nest Egg program.
In here we've got our kiwi eggs incubating, and you can see that they're all on a lean at the moment, and what happens is the incubator automatically turns the kiwi eggs for us, which is a really important part of their incubation. And so we get these eggs out once a day to weigh them and just check on the development stage of the chick. So now we're in our chick room, and behind me we've got some what we call TLC incubators. So when a kiwi chick hatches, it's really wet, so it's important that we still keep it warm and allow time for their feathers to dry out. That's what we put them in these incubators for, and also they're extremely tired from all the energy that's involved in hatching. So they sleep for a good sort of 3 days or so to recover that energy. So we keep them in here for up to 5 days, depending on the activity levels of the chick, before we shift them into one of our brooders for some more space. Each morning we weigh them. We chart their weight loss just to check their progress. So this bird, for example, hatched just under 350 grams and he lost that weight initially, and then he started eating. So he's tracking back up his chart when they reach that initial hatch weight again. So that's what we're waiting for, is for them to get to that point, and then we can look to release them.
We care for them for about the first month of their life before they're released into a predator-free island or mainland sanctuary. And once they reach about 1.2 kilos, They're then deemed to be able to protect themselves against stoat. They're released back onto the mainland, either in areas where the eggs were taken from originally or into areas where they're establishing new kiwi populations. So an important part of our job is obviously talking with the public and inspiring them to learn about the animals and want to care about them. But I believe that it makes your work more authentic if you can share personal experiences with our visitors, work that I've actually gone into the field and done. Yeah, I'm just hoping that I can make a difference in that person's life and their attitude towards wildlife. It's really hard to imagine where we might be in another 100 years. I hope that our involvement in field conservation becomes even a bigger part of our job, but also I imagine in 100 years that New Zealand will be predator-free with predator-free 2050. I'm hoping that our native species will have made a massive return to our urban environments. People will be able to take what we teach them away and then hopefully see these animals in their backyard and continue to support the work that has been done up until that point. I believe that our visitors are extremely important to how we operate as a conservation organisation, being able to share our knowledge and experience with people who are genuinely interested in what we do and who want to make a difference themselves. But also to be able to do the field work that we do is really important because that's what's building a future for wildlife in New Zealand.